to the Figuring Shkt Out Podcast, episode, I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's episode 73. Maybe 73 deep. I am King Arthur, Unified Thrive. Don't y'all forget that, man. Y'all know what time it is. We had a good conversation. I got Miss Cyn Price with us today. But before I get started too fast, I want y'all to remember to go subscribe on YouTube, like us on in Instagram, follow our Rumble, go to our website, do all that good stuff. So we can keep bringing the good content, man, and having a great conversation with people. Frank, he ain't here with us today, so just me, the King, by myself, and I'm going to hold it down. Like I said, I got Miss Cyn Price over there. How you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I am perfect. And so I think I wanted to start the show with our typical question is, what's your figuring shit out moment?
So that moment for me has been figuring out how to do work that I love and make a lot of money doing it.
Okay. Did you figure it out?
I have.
All right. How you got into the candle business and how you got started there?
Sure. So I was basically saying that we are a self-care brand, right? And we started out producing non-toxic and vegan hair care, skincare, and bath products. And then about 7 years into the company, decided to pivot and add candles to the lineup. And then once we did that, candles just kind of took over like a weed. So we're known for candles, but we are a self-care brand and we do much more.
Okay, so like what? Because like I said, every time I see you, I only see you for doing your workshops or making candles for other people. So what other self-care things do you offer?
So we offer vegan products. So we offer body oils, beard care, moisturizers, body butters. So all the things that you would use to, in your self-care regimen, basically, we do a lot of those products too. And candles, of course, are more like the home side. So that's like you're like using your space, but we also do the things that you put onto your body to relax. So.
All right. So what do you think made candles take off the way it did, aside from the self-care stuff that you was already provided?
So I do feel that. So I did start out with a focus on ethnic hair and skin, right? But when I entered into the candle market, that was a whole other demographic, right? So candles were not limited to one demographic or one race or one age group. Like it just really crosses so many different sectors that it's a huge market. So that was the difference.
All right. And so like, is that like your main focus now? Like I said, I know you offer other services like some of your classes and stuff. You can talk about that if you want.
Sure. So yeah, we do. So we are, one of our biggest focuses right now is candles, simply because I just felt like I had to really focus in, because from a marketing standpoint, it was really hard to kind of dedicate all the marketing dollars on the body care side and then the candle side, because those were two very different marketing strategies. So after looking at our numbers for over that first year, it was clear that candles were just kind of like knocking everything else out of the water. So we went with it.
So go into that, because I'm like, how do you make the candles, or like how did you decide on fragrances, and how did you decide to market and whatnot?
Sure. So really how I ended up in the candle space, I think it was inevitable in a sense, because I've always been a candle lover. I was the teenager who was in TJ Maxx buying candles, right? Okay. So I always wanted to learn to make candles. So after 7 years of formulating body products and working with fragrances, I did take like a very basic candle making class that shows you how to melt things down and where to get the supplies. But when I made my first candle, all that experience that I had from blending formulas for 7 years prior, it just meant that I came out of the gate just with a very different concept, and I was really good at it. So really, I just feel like it was meant to be, in a sense.
What makes you good at making candles? Isn't it just waxing and essential oils, or?
So from a branding standpoint, is anything ever just wax and oils, right? Okay. We focus first of all on luxury, like creating a luxury experience. So we're not your average candle brand. if that makes sense. I do oversized candles that are meant to be like a part of your decor. So yes, I'm blending fragrances that are themed that will really help to set a mood in your space. But aside from that, you're not just looking at like a small glass candle. I do really big candles that a person sits in their living room and it's like it just becomes a part of their decor as well. So it's not just a fragrance, it's a part of your decor at that point.
Okay. And so I'm a candle guy. I'm a candle lover. And I don't know many guys that like, I don't know if that's true or not. Do men like candles?
So men love candles too, right? And that's the thing about candles. I don't really feel like they're really gender specific. There are a lot of guys who, I don't know if you've seen these trends of guys cleaning their places, right? You see the guys on TikTok
yeah.
or vacuuming their spaces and they are lighting candles. It's a whole lifestyle, right? Of understanding that I feel like guys are left out when it comes to and overlooked when it comes to the home space, because you just feel people have always assumed that women are the ones driving the home. But guys love to have a really clean and a peaceful space too. So we do workshops. We do candle workshops every single week. And the number of guys that come in and the number of women bringing their men in because they love candles is undeniable at this point.
Yeah, I definitely I bought myself a candle kit, and my wife, she was making body butter, so we had essential oils already, and I just wanted like candles for myself, so I bought some candles, got some little tins, and like every now and then I'll make me a little candy and I'll sit it beside my bed and I'll light it before the morning or light it before I go to bed, or even when I'm working, right? Just I throw a candle beside my computer sometimes and light it up. So that's really cool. What made you start doing workshops? Right. Now, I want to talk about how you got your storefront too. So talk about the workshops first.
Sure. So I did begin workshops before I had a dedicated storefront. That was purely by customer demand. Once I introduced candles and I would post videos of me pouring candles, and my OG customers were like, we need a workshop. And I was like, oh, okay. So I did a pop-up at a coffee shop, local coffee shop. And from there, it was just like, well, we need more of these. And I was like, oh, well, I started doing more pop-ups, right? So it was purely demand. It was purely demand. And once I just began once I began to host those workshops and I made that commitment to rent out spaces, then it became, oh, shucks, I need to sell out these events because it became expensive to do those pop-ups, right? So the more I began to really pour into and focusing on the workshops, those blew up.
And so, did you just go around the city and find places that had space, or were you just going to places that kind of fit in the candle realm, I guess, like you said, coffee shops?
Right. So my perspective has always been, right, I'm not just selling a candle, I'm selling a vibe. So I always look for really vibey spaces like coffee shops or mainly coffee shops, because I feel like people that are sitting in a coffee shop, drinking a hot drink with their laptop or sitting there chatting with their friends, it's almost like most of those people like candles for some reason, right? So I would just choose these really aesthetically pleasing places that were just really chill, peaceful, that just kind of spoke to the whole idea of I'm taking some time to myself and relaxing. And I did a few coffee shops with that, and that was a hit. That was a hit.
Hi, I'm King Arthur, founder of Novel Views Tech, where we prepare children aged 10 to 17 for a future shaped by advanced technology. Our curriculum dives into fields like robotics, nanotechnology, quantum computing, and more. But what really brings learning to life are our bi-monthly, Exploring the Future of Technology webinars, hosted by industry experts. These webinars aren't just lectures, they're interactive discussions that connect your child to the pulse of the tech world, creating a learning experience that goes beyond the classroom. We offer a money-back guarantee to ensure you're completely satisfied. Equip your child with the skills to not just adapt, but to innovate and lead in the future. Join us at Novel Views Tech, and let's build their future today.
I can see those type of people being in that kind of vibe, right? In that kind of feng shui, I guess. Like it's not a lot of hustle and bustle. They're kind of just really laid back and really chill. They're taking their time. That's kind of what candles is all about, right? And I get kind of antsy, like when I'm making my candles, I just wanted to be dry, so I can burn it. You know what I mean? So that's cool. So talk about how did you end up getting a storefront? Because you said you were doing the pop-up shops and you were having a demand for it. So was that the driving force behind getting the storefront?
100%. So it became really expensive paying by the hour at coffee shops. And of course that entailed renting out the space, putting out the ads, filling the seats, breaking, like transporting everything, setting up, hosting the workshop, tearing down. So it was just okay, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? So I was looking at how much I was paying every single month for running the spaces for these pop-ups. When I began to really compare that to some of the options I had with a dedicated space, I was paying more doing pop-ups. And so I was like, so logistically, it just makes more sense to create my own space, right? Now, I did not go get a huge storefront just because I never believe in, for me personally, I like building my businesses lean. Right. So it's like as the need and the demand is there, then I'll expand versus jumping into a big 3,000 square foot place and then trying to figure out how I'm gonna bring the revenue in. So I converted a suite into my now shop, and that became my dedicated space because it was literally cheaper than doing the pop-ups.
All right. So I'm a vendor. I vend. So when you said lugging your products and setting up and breaking down, man, it can be a pain, but I don't have anything like you have. So I know that wax can get heavy. I know those tins can get heavy. And then your unfinished product or leftover product, right, can get kind of heavy. You still got to lug some of that out of there, right? I definitely get that. How much energy went into finding your location? Because I know people always talk about location. Right. So I see you got a busy intersection, right? You got a red light behind you, you got traffic behind you. So how much energy went into finding your space?
I really do feel that I think that this space and the way that all that happened, it just opened my eyes to the fact that business is not always just technical, right? I do feel like there are some things that if you're dedicated and you're committed to your cause and to your business, then there are some intersections that'll come and opportunities that'll present themselves just because you're in the right place at the right time. So I literally was just kind of touring different spaces. And in the middle of doing that, I was kind of like, I don't know. But literally the person that was giving me the tour, she's like, oh, well, this particular space opened up like today. We haven't even put it on the market yet. And when I stepped into that space, it was the space that was for me. Like, it felt like, oh, this is it right here. So, yeah.
That's what's up, man. Divine intervention, universe be calling, all things work in your favor when you are moving in your purpose, right? Moving in your God-given gifts and talent. So, now I definitely feel that. I definitely feel that because I sell, like I said, I don't know if you know, but I sell LED masks. And every time I tell people I sell masks, or even how I started selling masks, it wasn't something that I went out looking for to do. But I'm good at it. It's profitable, and people love it. So, and I'm only doing it because it was just, I guess, perfect timing. I guess, So you got your store space. Now, I remember following you, and you was posting about your Google order, right? You had a really big order for Google, and they loved it so much that they came right back. Can we talk about that for a second?
Sure. So from the very beginning of making candles, I never took like a one-sided approach, right? I didn't come into it saying I'm just going to make candles for consumers. I knew that in order for me to diversify the model, I needed to be able to tap into the commercial space because, I mean, there are bigger companies and there are corporate entities that need candles too, right? So as I began to tap into that space, I began to expand into certain marketplaces that corporate shoppers might frequent, began to really branch out into wholesale. So just placing myself in some of those spaces, some of those opportunities were presented.
Talk about that, because that is not a typical way of thinking about doing things, right? So I would never think that Google or Geico or anybody food line would need candles, right? So where were you at, and how'd you think about going to where they were going to be at? How'd you know they were going to be there? Those type of companies.
So first of all, I want to speak to the struggle, okay?
Talk to
the struggle can be some serious motivation. So when I initially started my company, it was a side hustle, right? And so there wasn't a lot of pressure for me to perform. It was like I was doing it a few days a week. And even doing it a few days a week, it was toward the end of it being a side hustle, like outperforming my 9 to 5. So I made a decision to go ahead and branch out and do this full time. And when I began to look at my numbers and what needed to happen for me to really build a sustainable business, I was like, well, why am I going to just focus in on consumers? Knowing that if I'm only focusing on consumers, that the market, usually like the cold months is when candles really boom. But what am I going to do when the summertime comes and people are outside, right? So I just began to look at all the possible ways I could use this craft to be able to create streams of income. And as I began doing that research, I realized there were whole marketplaces that were dedicated to corporate products, like corporations that need to be able to search out a vendor, as they call it, to produce something custom for their company. And so I just entered into that world, and there were like tons of other companies doing that. I just began to really study it, and I'm like, whoa. So I began to actually join some of these marketplaces. And in doing so, I began to get these corporate inquiries, right? Where you have people that are telling you what their needs are. So as I began to really study that, it's like you have like JP Morgan Chase. I spoke with one of their reps one time because they do luxury gifting. And so it's like some of the things that they would need are things that they have their logo on them, or things that their luxury clients might love. So they're looking for luxury gifts, and luxury candles were on their radar. So as I really began to just do the research, it was like, whoa. Google was one of those. They literally bought, they crafted gift boxes for their teams, like during the holidays. And that's where we came in, as we were one of the candles included. But in one of the most recent contracts that we did was for IHG hotels. And so they bought 350 candles for a rooftop event because it was a travel candle. They're a travel company. And all the people that were at that event, they wanted to have their logo on a candle because they were like, a hospitality brand. So it just made sense.
Right. So I want to talk about fulfilling those orders. But first, like, what is the marketplace that you said you found these people at? So, like, the name of the show is Figuring Shit Out. So go ahead.
One of them is Fair Wholesale. Like a lot of companies that make products know about Fair. It's literally a marketplace where if you have a storefront, this is where you shop. You're not a consumer in a sense of the person that goes to the store, but you are the store, and you need to fill your shelves with things. So there are categories that you can place yourself in. It can be handmade, it could be luxury, and they go onto these sites, and they're looking for specific things. They're kind of shopping for their store, so to speak. So in the same sense, like these big box stores like Target, they have buyers, right? Buyers, they frequent marketplaces. So you have to go to those corporate marketplaces and go where they're shopping for products.
So if somebody wanted to do something like that, they would go to you said Fair Wholesaler?
Yep, FAIRE, Fair Wholesale.
Fair Wholesale, or like you're saying, a buyer's marketplace, right?
Yes, there are a lot of buyer's marketplaces, and different corporations shop in different places. So you would just do the research and try to figure out who the buyers are, and you can try to figure out where they shop.
So, because somebody like me, like I'm a small business, so when I want to go get me a gift package, so I did an event, and I wanted to promote my computer literacy program, and I got me a tech box, right? And it was a digital thermostat, it was a mouse, a USB, a charger, and something else. And I just put the Alibaba and got something like that created, right? But you're saying there are companies out there that are looking for people to make a box for them, or a trinket, or something to add to something that they're already doing, just customized, right? But it's unique because your candles are handmade and luxury, right?
Exactly. So yes, there's always the option to go somewhere like Alibaba. However, it does take, so first of all, you have companies whose value systems, some of them, for instance, and this is just a category, want US made products, things that are made in the US because they want to stimulate the US economy, right? Then you have those that are like they want things that are handmade because they might tap into a market, or their customers might love things that are hand poured, handmade. That's where you have your places like Etsy. That's why those exist, because not everyone wants a manufactured product that came off of an assembly line. Like people do actually value handmade items. So those are the ones that you tend to get that are searching for handmade U.S. made small, products by small businesses.
Yeah, and that's one reason why my LED masks do so well, because everybody's like, "You make these by hand?" I'm like, "No, but they are handmade." And he's like, "Really?" I can tell like the quality and the craftsmanship and just the uniqueness of it, right? They love the uniqueness of it. They don't, because they just can't. You can't go anywhere and go get these. You may get something similar. I know Five and Below sells a C grade product with what I offer, right? And I've even had big companies. I've had big companies, or I didn't say big companies, larger companies, somebody with more resources than me, right? Seeing my idea, they seen the product, a similar product in Five and Below, and they went and bought Five and Below products and tried to compete with me, and they didn't stand a chance, right? They didn't stand a chance, and they had more resources and they put me out the marketplace because of, that's another story.
Are you looking for a media agency that covers all the creative tasks that make a business successful? Lucid Perspective produces elegant, high-resolution graphics and logos, high-definition and 4K video, complete with treatment concepts and innovative editing. Lucid Perspective provides photography services such as fashion, advertisements, product or service, and aerial photography. We also help businesses build their brands from the ground up with complete campaigns that will make your business attractive to your target audience. We can bring your brand to the masses with our effective and strategic marketing campaigns to include sales funnels, eye-catching advertisements, breakthrough digital marketing through social media, and other digital avenues. Visit lucidperspective.com today.
Right, but when you get an order like when you get a 300 candle order and you got to make it handcrafted, how are you fulfilling that?
So I've been making candles for about 5 years now. So before I started hiring a team, because I just started hiring my team last year. Before I was hiring my team, I was pouring all these candles on my own. I just figured out a system to be able to produce hundreds of candles every single day. I just became really efficient at it because it was really out of necessity. At first, I started off in a room in my apartment that I had dedicated to candle making. And then, of course, once I upgraded to the space, I now have a production room where everything is stored and produced there. So
that kind of reminds me of Trill Burger. You heard Bill Bumby's Trill Burger?
No.
So he has a store, Trill Burger. He has his own burger. He won a couple of awards. But as you was talking, I was like, man, how is she doing this but keeping the same integrity of the candle and the smell, right? And his thing was, we only make one product, right? I don't know if that's true for you, but he said he only makes one product, and we make it the same way every time, right? That assembly line is, you're going to get this much seasoning, this much cheese, this much whatever is going to be put in this, and this is going to be your product, right? And so is that true with you? Like with the quality, integrity of your product, do you have a system to keep it A1, I guess?
I'm the lead formulator, so I create all the formulas to begin with. Like there's tons of testing that goes into creating the formulas. So because I developed the formulas and I'm repetitive, it's a repetitive thing of consistently pouring those formulas, pretty much all the measurements are there. So that just kind of maintains the integrity. Now I have tons of products though. As a creative, I don't just have one scent. I feel like I have hundreds of scents that are just in my brain. And the temptation that I have to constantly fight against is not to just like regurgitate all of it onto the shelves. It's like, no, let's just keep some of this in the vault, and be strategic with these releases.
So you have you seen the movie Jingle Jangle? You got you a little book. You got you a little book of secrets that you're going to roll out next season.
It's crazy how many ideas are in this brain. It's crazy.
Well, I get it though, because now do you release on what your preference is, or do you let the market and your consumers tell you or dictate what's coming up next?
So honestly, I have a system because I just feel that in order to run an efficient and sustainable business, you have to pay attention to the cost, right? So if I have 20 fragrances, that means I have to keep all the things for 20 different candles in stock. So I do keep it at a minimum, like we have our base collection that is on sale year round. And then we rotate out seasonal and limited edition rollouts. So no more than about 8 candles sent out at a time.
All right. I wish I had a product like that. So my mask is like ever changing. Like some I have some fan favorites, and then I have some fan duds. But people like the ones that don't sell the greatest are always being requested, and I just can't find the right balance for them just yet. Right. So,
Understand.
so I think I want to ask you, what are you trying to figure out now? Like moving forward, what's something that you're trying to figure out?
That's a good question, because I feel like the last year and a half have been full of like so many lessons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many goals that I had coming into 2023. Like came into 2023 with these big goals. And after thrusting myself full time into this business and listening to all my customer feedback and paying attention to all the trends and taking all the data I had collected over the years, I've like crushed all those goals. So now it's like, what's next? That's really how I feel, right? Working with big corporate clients, having our products sold on Wayfair, having our first location, you know, it's like there are so many different things that I've checked off of the list. And I don't say that, I say that with like the most humility, because it's like, it hasn't been easy, but a lot of those things have been checked off the list. So now it's like, what's next? That's really what I'm trying to figure out, is how to, because then it almost seems like whenever you reach a new level, you have to continue to level up. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, how do I top this?
So, got any plans for topping it, or what?
I definitely have some things in the works. So I think one of my biggest assets is that I have customers who are extremely vocal. Like I've really built a strong community in a sense. Like when you come into one of our workshops or when you're interacting with us on social media, like we really are, like I know people by first name basis when you walk in. Like it's like, hey, how are the kids? You know, so having that relationship with my customers is almost like they consistently tell me exactly what they want. Like one of our last releases that we did, they told me exactly what kind of scents they wanted in our fall collection, and we just delivered on it. So yeah.
Okay. Customers always right, huh? No.
Customers know a lot. They know, they have a lot of information. They know a lot. I mean, because you're serving them, right? So no, right. I'm not one of those people that believes anyone is always right. Not myself, and not always the customer either. But if you're listening to them, literally your job or your role is to solve a problem that they have. So if they're telling you what the problem is, just figure out how to solve it. Figure out how to solve it in a way that's tailored to them, in a way that no one else is solving that problem for them.
I can dig it. Because I go to this one, I've vended this one event every year. And for the last 2 years, they've been like, bro, I need something with my country on it. I need something with, and now I'm in a space to where I'm have enough runway to actually, you know, get a tailored product. So this season, I'll go out there with that custom product with, you know, their flags or however they wanted it, right? So I'll see how that's going to go. And now I'm with you. I hear them, and so I'm trying to deliver. I'm gonna let you go soon, but you mentioned it a couple of times about thrusting yourself into this entrepreneurial space, right, and leaving your, I guess, whatever job you had before. How was that, and what was that journey like?
Oh man, so one thing I figured out is that like your business, your life and your business, it parallels your personal life, right? So whatever you're struggling with, whatever mindsets you're struggling with, whatever limiting mindsets you have going on, it's like all of that shows up in your business. So for me, there was a point in time when I was working my 9-to-5 where I just had these serious doubts as to whether or not I could make it work, right? So my job was paying pretty well, but I was like, I mean, can I really like outperform and create sustainable income and consistently like have these customers consistently purchasing from me? And yeah. So in the process of working my 9-to-5, what really happened and how I landed full-time entrepreneurship was the fact that like it became really hard to maintain a full-time job that was very demanding and run this business 3 days out of the week. So I was working 7 days a week, and I'm a mom of 4 children. So it was like trying to balance all those things and wanting to show up in all those spaces fully. It was like something has to give, you know? And so the business started really growing, and I was really like searching and asking these questions, like, what should I do? And those answers start to come because working my 9-to-5, that was going fine. But then my business started picking up in ways where again, on the corporate side, it was like I started picking up these business to business contracts where you had someone dropping $7K to create a custom candle line with me. And I was like, I had to really pay attention to that. Like,
right.
Oh, on these 3 days a week that I'm working, I'm getting these big numbers coming in with the business. And so finally got to a point of deciding this is what I wanted to do. But I tell everyone, like, that first year of full-time entrepreneurship, I was shaking in my boots. I was terrified.
Shook daddy.
I was terrified. I mean, in a constant state of stress. I was like, is this all gonna fail? And then it wasn't until I went to go like process my taxes for my first full year in business that I realized, like, oh shoot, I blew that 9-to-5 income out of the water the first year. And that was me being terrified and just getting my feet wet and figuring things out. And then the next year I doubled that, right? So it was just a process of trusting that not only could I do it, but I could really do it well. Even with the big family, like even with, without having an example of what that looks like, I was able to figure it out. So.
All right. That sounds like a chapter. I read this book, A Black Wealth Choice by Dennis Kimbrough. And a lot of the entrepreneurs, and he's talked about a lot of old entrepreneurs like Lenny Johnson and Madam C.J. Walker and some of the other guys, right? And how they kind of took the leap of faith, but they were terrified and scared of. Even Bob Johnson, right, when he started BET, like they were just super scared because they didn't have no idea of was it going to work? Was it worth it? Am I going to lose it all? Am I doing the right thing? I have family to feed. I'm trying to set an example. What are they going to think? All those questions and doubts that may arise, but all of it is just noise, right? It's just noise. Just like the traffic outside is behind you, it's just noise out there, but you're inside your building. You can't even hear it, right? But you know it's there, but it doesn't change the fact or affect you and moving the way you're moving. So I appreciate that because I heard the noise. I'm juggling too many things, and I already know that. Right? Okay. Like you said, you gotta cut one thing out. So yeah, that's real cool. So I think you got any words of wisdom for us when we get out of here? And tell people how they can find you on your social medias and stuff.
Sure. So I wanted to drop one last nugget because, like I said, I came into this with a lot of limiting beliefs, where it was like just constantly questioning the value that I brought to the table and whether or not I could really do it. But I think I have figured out over the last year and a half or 2 years of being full time. We talked about the fact that I started out one way, right? I started out trying to solve a problem because I knew in my mind it was like if I have a business, it needs to solve a problem, right? So I knew I needed to introduce products into the market that weren't full of a whole bunch of toxins, that were like really formulated for our hair types and things like that. But I landed, not even on purpose, right in the middle of the thing that I love to do, which is candles, right? I was going to add it to the mix, but everything pushed me into the thing that if I were ever to say what's my dream job, it would be to own a candle shop. I just didn't think that I could do that and make a lot of money doing it, right? So I guess the thing I'm saying is just believe. Like, you do not have to, yes, your business should solve a problem, but you can completely figure out a way to make so much money doing something that you absolutely love to do. I think sometimes people are told, oh, just go where all the money is, but it's like, how can you make the most money doing the thing that you love, the thing that you're good at, the thing that doesn't feel like work? So landing there was a big deal for me. And I just think that that happening for me, it's like I want everyone else to know that it's possible for them too.
Yeah, that's right. And this is why we made the show, to talk to people like you, to figure out how you figure shit out. Right? What was your process? How'd you do it? And to kind of shed some light on other people, right? Like that's the whole thing, purpose behind this show, man. Figuring shit out. That's what we're here to do. And so how can they find you on socials, and what's your website?
So all of our handles are at the ACOBRAND, and our website is theacobrand.com, THEACO brand.com. And we're on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at the ACOBRAND.
All right, man. That's a great episode. I appreciate your time. And this is the Figuring Shit Out show, y'all. Have a nice day.
It is now 2023, going on 2024. Why don't you have a VPN? only for a limited time. Go to piavpn.com/cyberbunny. You could get 83% off the PIA VPN. What is a VPN? VPN is basically software that's used to hide an end user information such as IP address, location, private data they may be transferring over the internet, identifiable information such as their devices they're using from being spied on, from hackers, governments, internet service providers, anybody out there who wants to steal your data for their own personal gain. That's basically what a VPN does. If you want to take advantage of this discount, go to piavpn.com/cyberbunny. Go there now, sign up, tell them I sent you, get your software, get it installed on your laptops, on your mobile phones, on your tablets, any device that connects to the internet, get it installed on there. Get protected, go now.